Hello and welcome to Spread Book Joy. I'm Jack and today I'm going to talk to you about my middle grade reading for January, plus books I'm really excited about to read that I'm getting through in the post at the moment that are being released at the end of this month and the beginning of next month for February. And also I'm celebrating 1,000 followers on Instagram. So if you only follow me on YouTube, I'm going to talk to you at the end about how you can enter my giveaway to win a nice gift card for Amazon. So stick around to the end for that. I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read in order, and the reason I'm doing another face to camera is because some of the books I listened to on audio or I borrowed from the library on the Libby app, so I don't have a physical copy to show you. So that means that my usual filming style of top down just doesn't work for those. But they're such good books that I really want to talk to you about them. First up is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. I actually read this in December, but it didn't get into my December wrap-up because it was at the very end of December. I read it because I loved The Castle of Tangled Magic, which she wrote last year so much. I thought I need to go back and check out some of her other stuff, and I got it out on the library app Libby, so I don't have a copy here, but it's all about a girl called Marinka who lives with her grandmother in a house that every now and again will get up and walk off on giant chicken legs because Marinka's grandmother is Baba Yaga. So again, it's another Russian folktale inspired story from Sophie Anderson. So Baba Yaga, her job is to usher the souls of the dead onto their final resting place. So every night the door knocks, or they open the door, it doesn't knock, but they open the door to the dead souls that come and they throw them their last party, which all seems like a really nice kind of life-death myth. So Marinka is really unhappy because she wants to go and visit other people and see other places and make friends. So I'd definitely check that out. 5-star read. It's fantastic. Next book I read was The Star Outside My Window by Anjali Ralph, and she wrote The Boy at the Back of the Class, which is a fantastic book about refugees. If you haven't seen that, or I've got a video on it, you can check out. I'll put the link in the description box below. But The Star Outside My Window, Anjali Ralph is becoming quite well known for tackling really difficult subjects, and The Star Outside My Window is her attempt to tell a story about domestic violence through the eyes of children. So it's very hard hitting in some ways, but it's dealt with in a really sensitive manner, which is becoming her sort of signature really. She's dealt with some really hard topics in her books, but because of the way she writes, and she manages to bring in some humour and humanity and compassion, and I just find her work really excellent actually. So we meet Anaya and Noah, who are siblings, and they're living with a foster mother. They've just joined this foster mother as the book starts, and they're waiting for they're not wondering why their father hasn't come to find them. They've been living with their mum, and their mum has just become a star. So they know this because Anaya is a star hunter, she calls herself, which is like she's interested in astronomy, and she calls herself a star hunter, and she knows there's a new star in the sky and it's got to be her mum because she heard her mum become a star. And as the book unfolds, we discover that what's become of them is there's been some domestic violence at home and they've been hiding with mum. They don't understand this though, so it's all told through their perception of things and the things that they've been told by their mum and the things they've been told by their foster parent or by the police or whoever's been dealing with them. And it's really heartbreaking, but it's also really heartwarming at the same time, and it tackles, like I said, a really hard subject in an excellent way, and highly recommend that one as well, especially the audiobook. If you can get the audiobook, get it. It was very good. Next up, I read Arsenic for Tea, which is the second book in Robin Stevens' Murder Most Unladylike Mysteries. So if you weren't familiar with it, I've read the first book is here, Murder Most Unladylike, and they're kind of like Mallory Towers meets Sherlock Holmes. So you've got a girl called Hazel Wong who's the narrator, and she's kind of the Watson of the two. There's a pair, there's Hazel and Daisy. Daisy Wells, Hazel, it's set in the 1930s in a boarding school, but this particular one, it's during the holidays, and Hazel is going home with Daisy for the holidays. Now Daisy lives in an ancestral home, like a mansion house, because her father is a lord, and so they're at home for the weekend. It's a country manor, and there's lots of visitors and guests, and someone gets poisoned, and that's the start of the mystery. It's a great Agatha Christie style, Cluedo style whodunit. It's really well written. I love these books. I find them, if you're into boarding school stories or Enid Blyton when you were younger, or Mallory Towers or anything like that, you'll love them. But equally so, they're really hugely popular, and I can't wait to read the next one. This one I just finished today, and I'm going to gush about it. It's The Midnight Guardians by Ross Montgomery. It was published in 2020, and the premise is all around, it's set in the Second World War, and it's about this boy called Cole. Cole has been evacuated to the countryside, and he finds out that his sister Rose, who's still in London, she's an older teenager, and she's a messenger during air raids. She takes messengers on bikes. She's in danger because he finds out his imaginary friends that he hasn't seen or played with for a long time suddenly come back to him, and there's a tiger called Pendlebury and a little knight called the King of Rogues and a talking badger called Mr. Noakes, and they're his imaginary friends, and they suddenly appear to him, and they tell him his sister's in danger and there's going to be a massive bomb raid on London and they need to get to her. And they know this because they're from the spirit world, where the Midwinter King, who's the god of darkness, is trying to take over because he's feeding off the bad energy from the war. And because he's getting stronger and stronger, the Green Man, which I believe is a very British folkloric myth, the god of life who comes every spring and pushes back the darkness, he's being defeated by the Midwinter King. So they've got to race against time to save his sister in London, and there's this other very fantastical, very folkloric kind of battle going on in the background. And the book is brilliant. It's full of humour. The characters, I love them. I can just see them and their squabbles and arguments, which is really funny. The horror elements when the Midwinter King makes appearances are really well written. It's very atmospheric, and it's really well researched. So in between each chapter, Ross Montgomery has included an article or some information that was given out to people during the Second World War, and they're genuine articles. So there's so much in here to research what happened. He also talks about, they meet a girl called Ruth, who is one of the Kindertransport children, who were the Jewish children who were transported out of Germany and Poland and came to live in Britain, often without families. So there's a lot going on in this book, and you can learn a lot reading it. So it's a great historical novel and great fiction, fantasy fiction, and I loved it. If I give it 5.5, 10 stars, I would give it 10 stars. This is a brilliant, brilliant book. Lastly, I just read Delicates. I got an advanced reading copy from NetGalley, courtesy of NetGalley, for an honest review. I read this is a second in a graphic novel from Brenna Thumler. It was a follow-up to her book Sheets, which was all around, it's a middle grade, it's aimed as middle grade, but it deals with grief and in a kind of with a supernatural lens. So Marjorie, in the first book Sheets, we meet Marjorie, who's working in her family laundrette, and her mother has passed away, and the laundrette suddenly, at night she comes down, and it's always a mess because some ghosts have made it their playground, because ghosts in this world that Brenna Thumler's created wear sheets, so that's why it's called Sheets. So she meets a young ghost called Wendell, who is a young boy who's passed away, and he hasn't come to terms with it, and she's not come to terms with her mother's death, and she's got some real social issues going on in school, so she kind of moves through the world like a ghost herself. So you can see the parallels between her and Wendell, but they're beautifully drawn books, and she's got this wonderful limited colour palette, and they just look stunning, and the stories are wonderful, and it's a really interesting way of looking at grief and how we get over that and how we move on, and how life, how we remember people that we love. But the second book, Delicates, is even better in my opinion. I'm going to write a full review and put it up on my website, but for the moment I read it today, and Delicates is the follow-on. Marjorie, I think it's about a year later, and Wendell and the ghosts are still living in the laundrette. So Marjorie is hanging around with this group of children who, in the last book, one of them was actually bullying her, but they're being friends with her now, and they're trying to make her popular, but they're still not very nice children. And there is a girl called Eliza, who is her teacher's daughter, who's been kept back a year. So they're all in 8th grade together, and Eliza is very socially awkward. She finds she's very literal and very blunt, and the children think she's very strange, and they pick on her and they don't want to talk to her. And she actually does compare herself to a ghost, as she goes around taking photos, and she believes in ghosts and believes in the paranormal, and she thinks she can capture one on camera. And seeing as Marjorie actually does know a ghost, then you can see that Marjorie is trying to keep this secret from her, and Eliza knows there's something strange going on. But it's more about the fact that Eliza's being picked on incessantly by Tessie, who is the sort of leader of this popular group of children, and Marjorie starts to not take part in it, but she doesn't stop it either. And there's a really good message in there about the fact that even just not saying anything when you see bullying or you see people being treated badly is just as bad as bullying yourself. I thought it was really brilliant. There were so many layers to it. I'm going to write a really more in-depth review for my blog, so you can check that out at some point soon. So those were the middle grade books that I read in January, and I've got a couple, well, 2 or 3 that I'm really excited about to read in February that have just been released. So this week I got in the post one I'm really excited about, which is Amari and the Night Brothers, which is being touted as Harry Potter meets Men in Black. So Amari's brother has gone missing, and she wants to find out what's happened to him. No one else seems to be that bothered, and she finds a mysterious bag in his closet, I think, and inside she gets recruited by an agency who are, I think, like the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. So this looks amazing, and all I keep hearing from people on YouTube and everywhere is this is the next big thing, like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter or that kind of big. So I'm very excited to read this, and look how lovely the book is. I got it this week. Look, it's got sparkly sprayed edges, and it's just very pretty. The next thing that I'm really excited about, which I just got yesterday, I think, in the post, or the day before, is Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow, which is by Benjamin Dean. And this book is all about a boy who's trying to find out why his parents have split up, and he finds a flyer for I think it's a flyer for Gay Pride or something in his dad's pocket, and his dad so he goes on a mission to find out what it means to be gay, and it's supposed to be really amazing, a really amazing book about acceptance and about different types of families, and it looks wonderful. The other book, which hasn't come yet and I thought it would come today, is A Tangle of Spells, which is the 3rd book in the Widdishin Sisters trilogy by Michelle Harrison. So the first book was A Pinch of Magic, and the other book was A Sprinkle of Sorcery, and I've talked about both of those on my channel, and I'll link to the videos below. But Tangle of Spells is the final book in this trilogy about these 3 sisters. It's one of the best fantasy middle grade series I've read in a long time, so check that out as well. I'm going to do a video on the whole series at some point so people can see what that's like, and I'm very excited to get that. So I reached 1,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy. I can't quite believe that. So I'm doing a giveaway, and I don't want people on YouTube to not be part of the giveaway. So if you'd like to, I'm going to leave a link to the Instagram post below, which will tell you how to enter the giveaway, and it's a £25 voucher. Sadly, it will be for Amazon, because unfortunately I've looked and looked, and it's the easiest thing I can do for international giveaway, I'm afraid. But if you are in the UK, I looked at bookshop.org, but they don't do vouchers at the moment, which is really irritating because they support independent bookshops. However, I really hope someone makes use of this who really needs it. I hope it makes someone's day to get this giveaway if they win it, and it's something they need, and they get some books that they love. I'll be just over the moon however they get it. So if you want to enter, just click like and comment. Make sure you're following me on YouTube here for an extra entry, and comment in the comments section below, and then click on the link to my Instagram post, and they'll tell you exactly how to enter. So that's my middle grade wrap up for January, and the books I'm really excited to read in February. If you are new to the channel, please click like and subscribe, and if you can make a comment, that really helps, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again here soon. Bye!